Hello friends, welcome to Leg Life. This type of video that we're doing today is one of our favorites.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since we've done this. We actually asked you guys over on Instagram and on Facebook what questions you had for us. This is a good old-fashioned Leg Life Q&A vlog.
We got a lot of questions from you guys. We're actually not going to be able to get to all of them, but we're going to answer as many as we can.
And there were some questions that were similar to others, so we might group those together, but hopefully...
Reword a little bit.
Exactly. Hopefully, if you asked a question, we'll get to it this time. If not, maybe next video. But Sherry, we're just going to jump into it. You ready for question number one?
Yeah.
All right. That question comes from our friend Michaela, who is currently in Florida on a dance competition. Michaela, very exciting. She asks, what is the best food you've ever eaten?
My mind immediately goes to the veal in Paris. It's been 3 years since we were there. We were there in May of 2017. 4 years.
What?
4 years. We are in 2021. It's been 4 years since we were there, which is ridiculous because I feel like it was last year. But I can still taste that veal. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
I'm going to stretch the rules a little bit. And I'm just going to say that entire Paris trip.
Everything in Paris was amazing.
And some of it, I know we've talked about this on a vlog before, some of it may have been like vacation goggles. And you guys know what that means. Like somehow food tastes better on vacation. Yeah. And then you're in Paris and every meal has wine. And it's like...
and
bread and cheese and just like
butter.
Totally. Like to me, when I think back to Paris, I just think of like amazing food the whole way.
Everything,
Sherry picked out one specific meal from Paris. I'm gonna say the whole darn trip. The next question came from somebody else over on Instagram and said, what is the best keto food you've discovered and the worst keto food? Oh boy. And we've talked about this before.
We did talk about it. I actually came up with both of them.
And she's like 100% knocked out of the park with both of them.
Not wrong.
No.
The best one I think that we have discovered that we did not have on our radar before we did keto was spaghetti squash.
Without a doubt.
It's amazing.
We stand spaghetti squash.
For sure.
For sure.
So good.
It's
and we
so
haven't
good.
had a bad way yet.
No.
It's just so good.
Absolutely agree.
The worst that we found, and really, so we are big on, we can kind of push through if something's like kind of weird.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, just like doesn't taste super great, but like, we can make it work. And we're also big on leftovers. Like if we have leftovers, we will keep them and we will eat them.
Absolutely.
But this meal, neither of us finished it and we threw with the rest away.
And that says a lot because that never ever happens.
Right. And it was the miracle noodles.
Are they like shirataki noodles? Is that right?
I think so.
I think it's some kind of a noodle now.
Something like that.
Now here's the thing. We had miracle noodles before from Costco.
In a different form.
They kind of had the consistency then of like, think of like a pad thai noodle, like a rice noodle.
Yeah, kind of chewy, but like not terrible, but like
thin and light.
Right, yeah.
But then these that were so gross, it was like a penne. And so they were like thick and they, oh God, even thinking about it.
They were just so rubbery and...
It was like raw calamari.
Yeah,
and
like...
as soon as I thought of calamari, I was done.
It was just not good. Like we just couldn't get through it. So neither one of us actually finished the meal that we had in front of us and we threw the rest away.
Yeah, so spaghetti squash and the gross penne miracle noodle stuff.
We tried. We can't do that.
We will never try again. Guaranteed. Sherry, let's just keep with the food. Okay?
Sure.
What is one weird food combination that you have? I know where you're going.
Oh no. And I don't feel like it's that weird because I grew up with this.
Okay.
But apparently nobody else did. Macaroni and cheese with peas.
No!
One of my very favorite, like, I'll eat macaroni and cheese out of the box by itself, but it's always better with peas.
Every time, like, we make macaroni and cheese, and we're talking, like, the good stuff. The Kraft. Let's be clear.
We're not doing this homemade business.
Get
like,
out
that's
of here.
Not good.
Get that junk out of here.
Right.
No.
It's too gourmet for us. Like, we're going Kraft.
But Sherry is like, oh, let me add some frozen peas. I'm like, why are you doing this?
It's so good.
No. Now, I do have a question for you. Let's stay on the mac and cheese add-ins. How do you feel about cut-up hot dogs?
I don't mind.
Oh, I love
cut-up hot dogs. I feel like it's unnecessary.
Okay.
Because you can just add peas. No. But I did grow up with hot dogs and peas mixed into the macaroni and cheese. Both.
Last mix in.
Oh no.
Ketchup. I love a little, now every now and then. Now I'm not doing this every single time because I'm just a purist, a traditionalist.
Yeah.
A little bit of ketchup.
My dad's not gonna be super happy with this. I can't do it.
Really?
I like a bite. But I feel like the ketchup just overshadows everything.
That's fair.
And that's all you taste is the ketchup.
The reason that Sherry's dad's not going to be proud of that because he's basically
he puts ketchup on everything.
He's like the mayor of Ketchup Town.
I think so.
Like elected every single year forever. So my weird food combination.
This is weird, and
do you think it's weird?
It's super weird, and I can't do it.
Really?
I tried it, and it's just weird.
So I love this so much. Now here's what you got to do. You got to have two things. Pizza crust. So you finished your pizza, you got the crust left. It's like, what do I do with that? What's that? I have a nice...
You eat it. You dip it in ranch and you eat it.
Or you have a nice cold glass of Coke. You dip the pizza crust in the Coke. And we've talked about this on a video before, and I feel like some of you guys were with me. Or I'm just wishing that. You dip the pizza crust in the Coke so that it soaks up like the Coke, and you eat the soggy, like... salty, doughy Coke crust.
The first time he did this, I wasn't sure if we were gonna make it.
Listen, mac and peas.
Well, okay, but that's good. But pizza crust and Coke?
Yes.
Like, he didn't tell me beforehand he was gonna do this. He was just like, and I was like, did you dip it in the wrong thing? Like, did you mean to dip it in the ranches in front of you, but you dipped it in your Coke?
No.
Because we need to get you another Coke.
No.
I can't.
I love it so much. These are the things they don't discuss in premarital counseling that they should.
They really should.
Throw finances out the window. Don't talk about that stuff.
What are weird food combinations? Because your marriage might not make it.
Because you're going to be in the kitchen being like, oh, I'm making some mac and cheese. She's going to get the peas and you're going to be like, what did I do? Like, what mistake? And then I'm over here dipping pizza crust in Coke. Anyway, those are our weird food combinations. Yeah. That's a good question. That was a fun one.
Question, yeah.
So now we're going to get into an entire series of questions from one of our favorite people. You ready for this, Sherry? We received one question first from our friend...
a statement.
That's true, a statement.
Not a question.
From our friend Jessica Violet.
Yeah.
The first thing she says is, you really have a lot of trust that I won't troll this.
Correct.
True. I will say...
I feel like she loves me enough to not troll.
Do you think...
If it was just you, 100%.
That's what I was going to ask. You think that her love for you is bigger than her desire to troll me?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty close.
It's pretty close, but yeah.
Then her second question, and she starts off so nice. I'm like, oh no, I got a whole series of questions from Jessica Violet. And I'm like, oh, where's she going to go? She starts off so good. She's like, when are you coming to Fairbanks?
Right.
Good question. Mm-hmm. We're coming this summer.
We're going to try to make it up this summer.
We're trying to make it this summer, and that's going to happen. We're going to see you. It's going to be spectacular. So I'm like, oh, Jessica, doing great. Yeah. And then it turns a little bit. It turns a little bit. And she says, why would you ever choose Texas Roadhouse? It was your decision. I can't be blamed here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should have watched the last vlog.
Right.
We went to dinner with Jessica Violet.
We walked right into this one.
And she told me it was my birthday and I had to ride a saddle. It's terribly embarrassing. I thought she was a Christian woman. I'm not so sure that she is at this point. Holy cow, Jessica. So there's that. There's just like a little jab. And then the next question is, are you going to finally give in to the war? I think we can all agree. I won here. No.
Did she win?
No.
No.
For sure no. So absolutely no. No white flags are being waved here. But then she asks a good question.
Right, this one's actually a good one.
So it's like, she starts out with snark, put a little salt in there, a little bit of sass, ends on a good question. She says, and actually this was similar to some question that some of you guys also asked about travel.
Yeah.
She said, what is your next dream vacation? Another person said, where do you want to go travel-wise when the pandemic's over? Let's talk about this, Sherry.
We have discussed this in length.
For like a year, because can't go anywhere.
Well, and I mean, one of our dream vacations was canceled.
Fiji.
A year ago.
Dumb.
So dumb. Kind of our next big vacation, I think, is Europe. Yep. Specifically like the UK.
Yep. That has been our next international trip that's been on our radar for a while.
Yeah.
One of the things that's changed in me, and I've talked about this in videos before, you guys know we have a ton of air miles, right? Just because of
a little bit of a hoarder.
I'm an air mile hoarder, and I struggle with using them. But one of the things that I have learned in this pandemic is, I don't want to say that we took travel for granted.
I feel like we kind of did.
But I feel like we kind of did.
It's just sort of like, oh, we can just travel. Like, we can just go. because we have these air miles, we can just go whenever we want, but we never did.
And so now, like, as soon as things are opened up, I'm like, let's use air miles and get to Europe. Yeah. Like, let's get to the UK. Let's just,
because it can be taken away from you.
Let's make this happen. We're not going to, like, delay this anymore right. because for the first time in our life, we've been like, oh, we can't go.
Right.
And so I think our next, like, our next dream trip that we're going to do is going to be a UK trip. And our thought is that we're going to do London. We're going to do some of the English countryside. And we're going to do Wales. We will save, like, Scotland, Northern Ireland for another trip.
I feel like it needs to be its own trip.
So we're going to divide that up into, like, 2 trips. Mm-hmm. But that will be our next trip. And holy cow, what a dream trip.
I can't wait. There's so many people over there that I can't wait to meet.
There's so many of you guys who like watch our channel that we've gotten to know and connect with because of YouTube that it's crazy, because when we started thinking and dreaming a few years ago of a UK trip, it was all about like the things we would see. But our YouTube community has grown so much in the past few years that now we're still excited about the things we're going to see, but we're excited about the people we're going to get to see.
And more excited about the people we're going to see.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I
love that. So UK, we're coming for you whenever whenever all this is done. Now we're going to stick to a few travel questions. We've got a bunch of travel questions. The first question actually came from our friend Michael K. A lot of you guys, let's be honest, probably most of you guys know and watch Michael's channel. Yeah. Huge Disney vlogger. Michael asked us about cruising and Alaska cruises. Right. Now this is something that we get asked a lot, because you guys know we live in Alaska, we love Alaska. Right. We actually have not cruised or not gone on an Alaska cruise.
Yeah, which is lame.
Which is lame, but we get asked all the time, because you guys sort of ask us 2 questions when it comes to cruising in Alaska. Number 1, like, because we live here, is it a place you'd ever want to cruise?
Right.
Right, it's like if you lived in the Bahamas, would you want to cruise to the Bahamas? But then a lot of you guys are wondering, like, if we ever would or if we have. So we have not.
We have not, but it's definitely on our list.
We really want to go.
We really want to, because the cruises go places in Alaska that you can only see on the cruise ship.
Yeah, remember, Alaska does not have a lot of like road system, and so there's a lot of our state that is not accessible the way most states have places accessible.
Right, like there's the whole like inside passage that most people only see on a cruise ship.
Yeah, totally. It's places that are just not very accessible.
Right.
And so we really want to do an Alaska cruise. However, this is where it's going to get controversial. I want to apologize to all of our Disney fans in advance. We would cruise Alaska with Disney. You guys know we love Disney. It's the only cruise line we've gone on.
Right.
However, I don't know that we would do Alaska on Disney for a couple of reasons. Yeah. Number 1, Alaska is very expensive on Disney. Yes. But number 2, I am not a fan of Disney's Alaska itinerary. Hear me out. Don't crucify me. You guys know we love Disney.
We do.
But I believe that there's a lot of people who have done 5, 6, 7 Alaska cruises and feel like they have done Alaska. The problem is that when you only do an Alaska Sea vacation, you see a very small part of our state.
Right. I mean, it's a big state.
It's huge. And so I am such a big fan of land and sea vacations if you're going to do Alaska.
Honestly, I feel like it's like if you are on a cruise and you dock in Texas and then you leave again, you can't say you've seen the United States. You've seen Texas.
Yeah, you saw like one part.
You saw it.
You saw one part of the country, and that's kind of the way it is with Alaska. Right, you've seen one part of our state. And so, to me, Disney has what's called closed loop cruises. So they leave Vancouver and they return to Vancouver. Now, granted, the stuff you see is spectacular, right? You get to go to places like Juneau and Ketchikan and Skagway and Icy Point and those kind of like iconic Alaska cruise port towns. But I'm such a big fan of Alaska cruises that have a cruise where you might leave Seattle or Vancouver and it ends in like Seward or Whittier, and then you're able to actually rent a car or an RV
kind of thing.
Exactly, and do like the land tour. So that's my one wish for Alaska is that Disney would open up their itinerary and let people see the whole rest of our state that too many people miss. That is no doubt coming to Alaska on cruise ship is beautiful, but the rest of our state is
also beautiful, and
unbelievable,
it's completely different. I mean, we live in South Central, and it's just so completely different than like the Juneau area, and Fairbanks is completely different from here. Like, it's just the land is completely different.
Yep. So we have not done an Alaska cruise. We want to do an Alaska cruise. We're not positive that we would do an Alaska cruise with Disney unless Disney called and said, "Hey, you guys are Alaskans. You guys love Disney cruise. Let's make this happen." And then we would say, "Disney, we're going to market the crap out of you." But unless that happens, we're probably going to go with like Princess or Royal.
Right.
So we will see, but we definitely want to cruise with Alaska.
Yes, for sure.
And that kind of leads us into another question somebody asked. They said, hey, Adam and Sherry, what are your Alaskan summer travel plans? Because we've talked about how this year we are planning on traveling all over our state. Right? You guys know that we launched the Shop 49 thing. We are encouraging people to spend money here in our state because we have another canceled cruise season. And it is absolutely devastating so much of our small business community.
Because again, a lot of those little cruise towns are...
Cruise ships are what supports it.
Cruise ships it. Like, that's it. That is their income for their town.
And so for us, what we decided to do is that we want to spend our money helping those towns and those businesses as well. So we've shifted all of our travel funds for this year to go in-state. And so some of the places that we're planning on going, now these aren't trips that are like totally booked and confirmed. There's a lot of them that are very, very close.
Yeah.
And there's some places we are for sure like driving, going to places like Seward. For sure going to places like Talkeetna. You're going to see those on the vlogs. But as far as like flying out to, our plan is to do a trip to Ketchikan. Which is a place Sherry has never been.
Right.
Our plan is to do a little bit longer trip to Juneau and then over to Skagway.
A place that neither of us have ever been.
I've never been to Skagway.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for those trips. And I'm just excited because we get to expose you guys to parts of our state that that maybe you guys have only ever seen via cruise ship. And there's other ways to see them. Right? There's other ways to get around Alaska. There's other ways to see Alaska. And this year we get to expose you to that as we travel.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. Excited. Me too. One more Alaska question. Somebody said, okay, Adam, okay, Sherry, you guys have hinted at this many a time. This Alaska Leg Life tour.
Oh.
Is it happening? Yes, no, or maybe? So, you guys, this is so strange for us because it's kind of like the viewer cruise. It was such a foreign idea. Like, why would you guys want to go on vacation with us? Like, we're super normal people.
Yeah, we're not cool, actually.
We're really not that cool. I'm a little cooler.
Much. She's much cooler.
Oh, stop. You've gotten much cooler.
Oh.
Much cooler. And so we've talked about this idea of inviting a handful of you guys up, kind of putting together a custom Alaska tour, basically where we show you guys our Alaska. Yeah. It's the places that we love, the restaurants we love, the towns we love, the things that we like to do, the things that when we think of why we love our state so much, these are the things we think of.
Yeah.
And we love the idea of keeping a group small so that it can be very customized with us, basically taking you guys to these places. It had sort of been a dream and an idea, but honestly, COVID has made me want to expedite this.
Yeah.
Because I realized that we have a unique opportunity to bring people to our state, which in turn brings revenue to our state that helps these small businesses and these restaurants and these hotels and these vacation rentals. And so my hope is that in summer 2022, we could do the very first Leg Life Alaska tour.
Yeah.
Still working on finalizing some details. We don't know as far as like group size, we don't know cost,
right.
But it really would be basically you getting to experience our favorite parts of Alaska.
Right, yeah.
And so...
With us. Like
with us. Oh, 100%. We're hanging. You guys can't get rid of us like that quick.
Sending you an itinerary.
Bye! Good luck! Don't get eaten by the bears! No, like, we're going with you.
Yeah.
We're totally hanging out. And so, you asked yes, no, or maybe. Right now, the answer is yes.
Yeah, we're really trying to make it happen. We've been in talks with other... people in the tourism industry trying to get things kind of finalized.
So, great question. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
More info to come, obviously, as we get that move forward.
Yeah.
Now, we have another Alaska question. This isn't necessarily Alaska travel-based, but it is Alaska-based.
Yeah.
I really like this question. The question from the Mangerino Adventures, it's just fun to say. The Mangerino Adventures. They said, do you feel like your love and appreciation for Alaska shifted in a positive way during the pandemic? What do you think, Sherry Beth?
I think yes and no.
Okay.
I think the no is sort of because of how isolated Alaska is.
Okay.
I think that was a good and a bad thing. I think Alaska kind of being its own like little nook of the world set it up to be able to contain some of, like we never really had these astronomical numbers of COVID cases, but I think it just felt very isolating. That's my no, kind of.
Okay.
But I think my yes, especially last summer and hopefully again this summer, really being able to get out and like see more of Alaska ourselves really made me appreciate it more. Like, it really is just so beautiful here.
Yeah. Mine is all yes. See, I even think that the isolation, like, I'm one of those, like, I'm like, thank God. Like, this is gonna sound rude. Thank God y'all couldn't get here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, thank goodness we could, like, close a border. And so, like, honestly, for me, I'm like, I'm just really glad about that. The biggest thing for me, though, and we've talked about this a lot, our favorite thing about Alaska, yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's amazing. The people who live here are hands down our favorite part of Alaska. And what we got to see happen during the pandemic was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, we saw people taking care of people. We saw people, like, communities coming around people. We had so many friends that got COVID over the last year that when we would, like, call to check in on them, shortly after we heard, like, what can we do? Can we get meals? That, like, all of their needs had already been met.
Right. Like, it was so many people are like, we've already got 3 weeks worth of meals.
We've already got all these meals. Like, people have already been, like, taking care of us. And some of that is that, like we're part of, like, a church community and a faith community that really does a good job of caring well for each other.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just, I feel like over the last year, we saw a lot of, like, the worst of humanity come out. And we've talked about that with, like, online trolls and the things we've seen.
Yeah.
But man, when I think about, like, our state, we got to see a lot of, like, the beautiful things of humanity.
Yeah.
And we got to see people caring for people, and just, like, even groups that I saw pop up on Facebook, because things like grocery delivery services were still fairly new here in Alaska. And we had, like, Facebook groups pop up, like, okay, where do you live? What can I bring you? Like, text me your list. I'll go shopping for you and bring it to you.
Yeah.
And just, like, these whole, like, little communities popping up that existed for nothing else other than to serve one another during a pandemic.
To be beautiful humans.
To be beautiful humans, like our friend Mackenzie's merch says. And it was spectacular. It's like, there were so many times over the last year that I was, like, moved to emotion because of how proud I was of other Alaskans.
Yeah.
And so, for me, 100%, I'm so much more proud of our state, and I love our state even more than and I didn't think that was possible.
No, you've always been a big fan.
Very pro-Alaska. So this video is getting kind of long, and we need to wrap it up, but we have so many more questions that we're not gonna be able to get to, so maybe we need to do another one of these in the future. Let us know if you guys do want us to do more of these down below. But our friend Janice asked us 3 questions.
Yeah.
Janice and Jessica Violet just, like, toss the rules to the side, and they're like, I'm gonna ask what I want. But Janice, a couple of our questions were pretty deep, and we actually felt like they would make better podcasts.
Yes, we added them to our podcast list.
So we're gonna be making Podful episodes out of some of her questions. But one of her questions that I loved is, what is one world event or mystery that you wish you knew the truth about? Sherry, do you have an answer?
I struggled with this one.
Okay.
Nothing that I'm sure that there is, but nothing that really was, like, coming to mind for me.
Whereas I have a million answers for this, because I am so much a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, no, I did have one, but we didn't want to dig into that.
It would be very controversial.
Correct.
At this state. In a global pandemic.
Right.
So we're going to hold off on that one. Mine, less controversial.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
Maybe, we'll see. I want to know what the heck happened in Roswell, New Mexico with the aliens.
Area 51.
What happened?
The whole thing.
I want to know all about that. What's at Area 51? What crashed in Roswell? Was it a weather balloon? Were there little green men? Tell me everything. I need to know this. You guys, I love all this kind of paranormal sort of stuff. I love aliens. You guys know I love Sasquatch. I love Sasquatch. That's another one. You're aware? I hope you're aware.
Another myth you'd like the truth of?
Wow. Or another truth that I'd like to rub into your face.
Okay.
Because we all know that he's real. Okay, maybe not. But that would be mine. Like, Area 51, Roswell, New Mexico. What the heck exists there? That's a good one.
Yeah.
You going to steal my answer now?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well then I'll say Sasquatch. Friends, so many other questions you guys asked.
Yeah.
We really love doing this because some of this stuff is like, we like to know what you guys want to know about us.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's fun to just sort of, like, think about and talk about.
It is. We talked a lot about Alaska. Talked a lot about travel.
Yeah.
And those by far were the 2 things you guys asked the most about.
Yeah.
So thanks to everybody who asked a question. Sorry to those questions we didn't get answered.
Yeah.
Again, that just means we have to do another one of these.
Yeah.
Okay? So friends, we love you guys so much. Thanks for being a part of our community. Were there questions that we answered that you completely disagree with, such as Sherry's love for peas and mac and cheese? Let us know in the comments.
Or pizza crust and Coke, because ew.
How dare you? Friends, we love you guys, and we'll see you on the next Leg Live video.